says we're killing him.
I know, because I'm not. That's all right. You have to wait.
He says you're killing him.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we explain to them a little bit about the Healthy Mind, Healthy Body class and what that looks like before I go into this part of where I'm going to be sharing next week. I'm giving you guys a kind of a sneak preview of what we're doing next week. And it's something that'll benefit you in your own life.
Sure. So in this 8-week series, we move from the feet up through the body, talking about physical attributes of the body, and then illnesses or issues that can happen with organs or body parts. And we also cover each chakra that governs that area of the body and how the body is affected metaphysically, but also mentally and emotionally. And when there are mental and emotional breakdowns, how that can cause a body part or organ to break down, which are known as body syndromes, sort of malefic physical reactions to negative emotions that are stored in the body and in the cells.
So what part of the body is the most challenged? What part of the body usually gives out the quickest and the most often?
Oh, the heart.
Yep.
The heart is the most active of all the chakras, and we have to take care of the heart. And by the way, we do talk about this, and I'll make this brief because some of you live in snow country. When you have to go out first thing in the morning and shovel your driveway at 6 a.m, you have to do leg work, because leg work, cardio work, pumps blood to the heart. And arm work, heavy arm work, takes blood away from the heart. I mean, if you extend your arms out like this, your arms are an exact extension or pipeline from the heart. So if you have to do any kind of workout, and anybody that goes with a trainer knows automatically that you do cardio work before you lift weights, but sometimes people don't remember that. And I remember in the years of living in Pennsylvania that you hear about somebody that was in their late 30s, unfortunately had a heart attack shoveling snow, because when you wake up in the morning and you haven't moved around yet, the blood is still very thick. And you need a chance to move it through so it thins out, so you don't get a blockage in there.
Yep.
So, heart and the other thing is body parts can fail and then be helped. But, if your heart fails,
you're done.
You're done. Exactly. I mean, the heart is key.
Yep. So with that being said, we're going to talk a little bit about the heart today, and I'm going to do this for the first time on here. Just cross everybody's fingers that we're going to share my screen here with you. And which screen is it, Nick? Oh, application window. Hey, this one. So I'm thinking, can everybody share it? Can everybody see? Do we see it on there?
Yeah, so if you're watching, just let us know if you can actually see the
I don't think we can.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh, yes, we do. Here we are.
Yep.
I love it. This is fun. All right, so we all have one of these in our chest, and I'm going to say that what I'm going to tell you today, I wish we all learned when we were in elementary school, because we learn certain things about the heart, but we don't learn everything. And this part that I'm learning now, I learned from a lot of the science that I study, and it's quite a few people like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Deepak Chopra, and Joe Dispenza. So if you want to look up any more of this, you look up, another one is you go to heartmath.org. So our heart is producing all the time. It's moving that blood. It's doing all this, but it's also producing electromagnetic energy. And it also, believe it or not, it has its own little brain in there. They just discovered it in the 90s, and I don't think anybody ever talks about it, but our brain that's in the heart literally stores memories in there. So the heart is an interesting thing that literally that electromagnetic energy that it's producing, I want you to think about it like this. It's talking to the 50 trillion intelligent cells that we have. So each one of the cells that we have, they used to think that the little dot in the middle is our brain of the cell. It's not the actual brain of the cell, is the membrane. And the membrane of the cell reacts to electromagnetic energy. So all day, every day, your heart is talking to your body. And it's having this communication through literally kind of like an electromagnetic vibration. Hi, Kristen, you're in here with us. So when I'm working with clients, I want them to really understand their feelings a lot more, because the feelings are associated with the heart. So when we're feeling what I call fear feelings, and the bottom of it being depressed and being in grief, moving up to rage, anger, and all these other things. In fact, in here as well is shame and judgment. So these all create a certain resonance within our body. So each one of the cells is literally hearing this message. And we're also creating from this point of being much more at the bottom of it, calm. So I can't even express to you. I say this so many times in the day, especially with a new client, calm is always a choice. And it's such an interesting thing to really get that in any kind of situation, you always have the ability to choose calm. You can't always go into being happy or elated, invigorated. You can't go into those kind of feelings from anxiety or stress or worry, but you can go into calm. And why is that important? Because these things are continually creating in these beautiful bodies that we own. You like my stick figure body?
Has a big heart.
It does have a big heart, and we all have a big heart. So our heart produces the electromagnetic energy, talks to those 50 trillion cells, right? But it's also talking to the brain, and the brain is producing chemicals. So when we're in fear, those fear feelings, let's just say anxiety. That's one that's a pretty intense emotion that a lot of people are feeling right now. Another one is anger. A lot of it is simply just fear itself, fear of the unknown, fear of what's literally happening in our world right now. So when the heart is talking with the brain and it's talking with the cells, this is what's happening. We're creating an excessive amount of cortisol, adrenaline, stress hormones, and they're not the best chemicals for a healthy body. It makes the muscles go tight, the shallow breathing. It creates a sense of dis-ease within the body, disease, like what we were just talking about before when Nick was introducing it. And really important, the energy leaves the center of our body and it goes to the extremities. So we go into what we call fight, flight, freeze. And in that fight, flight, freeze, we can't think clearly. So why is that important? When we have that whole experience going on, it's literally an unconscious creation within our body. It's also outside of our body as well, but today we're focused on inside of the body. So if you think about it like this, when a person's having anxiety, and this is why I tell people it's not as much that you want to focus on what you're thinking as much as what the feelings are, because we'll have the thinking and we'll be on the loop. And that thinking will just go round and around and around. And a lot of times we're focused on the problem. We've been trained to focus on the problem. So when we are able to acknowledge the feelings, then we can say, hey, my muscles are tightening up. I'm not feeling so good. I've got a pit in my stomach. I've got whatever going on, whatever those things are that the body is telling you, this is what's going on. Then you can listen to it, unless you are like a client that I had today. And the client that I had today, like many clients, people have a tendency, and we all learn this a lot of times from our parents. We learn to just power through it. Let's just put those feelings aside. We're just going to do the thing. We're just going to make it happen. So she literally said to me, it's mind over matter. And it's like, well, it's not really mind over matter because the body is affected by it. And unfortunately, when we're not learning from our feelings, we keep creating the same scenario over and over and over again. So when we can use our body, especially the heart, and having an understanding of how it creates within us, then you can actually stop yourself and do the whole process of figuring out what is this thing. Like, for instance, anxiety. Most of the time, anxiety isn't what's happening in the moment. It's where our imagination is taking us. A lot of times, like say guilt or shame or resentment, it's not what's happening in the moment. It's remembering the past. Even if it was a day ago, it's remembering something has already happened. So there's a whole process to literally understanding what those feelings are and how to move beyond anxiety and thinking about that future or the other things and thinking about the past, and literally being present to where you are right now, which should be in your power. I got a little something, a little tickle in my throat. Excuse me. So how do we live in our power? We understand how feelings create. We understand that we have the ability to choose calm at any time. And why would we choose calm? And before I get into this, I want you to think about that car analogy that I talk about sometimes. When we are in those fear feelings, especially when they're revved up pretty good, it's like we have the car in park and we have the foot on the gas and it's revving on the inside of us. And it's like going and going and going. Really shoots out our adrenal glands. It affects our body in so many ways that we've been talking about in our workshop or class. And it's also creates a sense of exhaustion. I have people say, I am not even doing anything and I'm so tired. It's because on the inside, we're just revving so much and there's no escape for it. We do have too much of those chemicals being produced. So when we're more calm, we're creating more dopamine, more serotonin, the feel-good chemicals in our body. Our muscles become more relaxed. The breathing becomes easier. Everything just calms down and we feel at ease. And the energy, instead of going into the fight flight, we got to do something, we become back to grounded and centered and focused, which, by the way, is a really good meditation to do when you are feeling anxious. So if you're having one of those moments and you're about to go down the hill to, I'm not going to say it, to a place you don't want to go, there's a part where you take a new action and you start breathing, becoming grounded and centered and focused. And you can create that as a mantra for yourself. And the important part of it is we want to do this because when we're more calm, not only are we creating better health in our body, but we're thinking more clearly and much more expansively. So with that being said, what do you think the best feeling is? What do you think the most woo feeling is? Do you know? I think you do.
Well, joy.
It is joy, but it's also one of the most creative is appreciation. So when you're looking at this slide, this is an electrocardiogram, the in between the heartbeats. And if you can see here, anger, it goes up to about 135 in the heart rate, the energy that it puts out. And the energy, it goes really sharp if you're looking at the little thing on the right. And then you go down to relaxation. And again, the energy goes up to about 135 and it spreads out a little bit, but it's still a little sharp and it's not, smooth. When you look at appreciation, it smooths out. And look at the number that I have circled in red. Instead of it being we're putting out an energy of 135-ish, we are putting out 700. So that means when we are feeling deep appreciation in our body, the more you train yourself to feel deep appreciation, like when I'm feeling it, like even now I'm thinking about it and I'm feeling it, it creates literally a vibration in our body. And it creates this like feel good feeling. So that dopamine and serotonin, it excels it greatly. When we're wanting to create better health, find anything and everything to appreciate. That is one of the keys of life, and the numbers prove it, right, Mr. Numerology?
Yep.
Can a person die from a broken heart?
Yes, they can.
I just wanted to put that in there because people say, they have these communications. Oh, what do people say about their heart? It's like people say unconscious things.
Well, they say, oh, I was just heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're saying things, when you're talking about your body is literally listening. And so when we have that deep grief that's going on, it's huge.
Or when they talk about like really pitying someone, which you're really not supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, my heart just aches for them.
Right.
Let's not, well, because of the heart, we can also talk about here what I said about my blood pressure a few years ago, because that's
do that. Tell them that story, because I think that's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and it's also then, part of the healing. So, when we were selling our house a few years ago, the circumstances with the realtor that we were using were just not up to par, and there were things that were going on that were unprofessional and just not being done correctly. And I was very angry with this individual, and we were in the driveway of that house, and there was something that specifically happened at that moment, and she was on the phone with Audrey in Audrey's car, and I said, and I shouldn't have said this.
Oh, he didn't just say it. He yelled it.
Said, you're making my blood pressure go through the roof.
It's a bad moment. I literally looked at him like, did you just say that?
Yeah,
I think
right.
you know better. And he said it. It was out. And I'm telling you, it wasn't long after that we figured out.
Yeah, it did go up, and I've never had high blood pressure. So now, in terms of reversing all that and making sure that I was okay, the bottom line is, and it did go up high, that most recently when I've had my blood pressure checked, and I do with Dr. Kristen, the chiropractor, who's
on here with us.
Yep.
Hi.
My bottom number in my blood pressure is 70, which is really good. So it was a momentary thing, but it was a moment, and
you created it, and
yep.
you also fixed it.
I also fixed it too.
So I wanted to say there's some solutions to bringing ourselves back to a place of calm. And there's all these different options. As one example, I have on my audreynewmont.com website, there is a page with meditations.
audreynewmont.com.
audreynewmont.com. That's funny. The other thing, there's a lot of different options. So when you're having a moment and you're starting to feel the tension, you're starting to feel your energy leaving the center, we can pay attention to how we're feeling. And it's like when I was working with my client today, we don't get trained that it's all right to feel the feelings. I can't even express how many people that I work with. It's like, I'm just going to power through it. I'm just going to put it over here, and I'm going to power through it, and I'm going to make it all okay. And I'm just going to keep battling and keep battling. Mm-hmm. And it gets to be where you're 30, you're 40, and you're still battling. And you're 50 and you're still battling. There's a point where you get to change the way we do the battle. So instead of having all of these things that I'm just going to keep pushing it aside, there is a way that we can bring those things to the surface where we don't have to look at them in a harsh way. It doesn't have to be extremely uncomfortable, but you get to work through it. So there's a whole process of that. So learning to use the feelings to your benefit and making it all right to be angry. It's all right to be anxious. It's not all right to live in it for an extended period of time. Your body's going to take a toll. So there's physical, literally things to do, working out, getting some exercise, even if it's just going for a walk, get the blood moving, get the adrenaline out of the system.
Right.
Start doing things that are making your body much more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Making your body more supple.
Yeah. So
your heart, your blood vessels, all of that, they need to be more elastic.
Yeah. So the more we get things pumping, the more your body gets used in that kind of way. Another thing you can do is start looking at different natural supplements. Like, again, our chiropractor, we get this stuff from her. It's called a cortisol manager. And just as a side note, when we have too much cortisol that's going in the body, for those of us that have gained weight over the last year, when it has been such an incredibly stressful time for people, I've had many clients, it's like, I don't even know what's happening. I just gained 10 pounds and I'm eating salad. Cortisol for certain body types will gain weight. It'll help you hold on to weight rather than letting it go. So sometimes it's not your actual fault. through eating Twinkies or whatever. Sometimes it's just that we have to manage the cortisol. So this product is literally called Cortisol Manager. So there's that. There's other products that are very natural that you can use to help with the dopamine and the serotonin, like 5-HTP. I'm not saying to get this and use it. I'm saying to look it up, do your own homework on it and see if it's an option for you. I've never had any ill health from people taking 5-HTP, except for if you're taking a too high of a dose, it may cause a headache. But again, talk to your healthcare practitioner, do your homework on this and see what options are good for you. Even something like lavender oil can really help to bring yourself to a much more calm state. Looking at aromatherapy as far as, another option, lavender oil for just smelling is very relaxing and very calm.
Or also combining certain aromatherapeutic oils with a salt bath.
Yep.
Which is very good for you because it helps draw out the tension and, the toxins that are in the body that we.
So Epsom salt, to be clear.
Yep.
I do that on a regular basis. It's really, really good for the body. So if you do decide I'm going to get some more exercise and you make your little muscles all sore and achy, get your butt in the Epsom salt bath. It helps.
Exactly.
And then another thing to do is if you're living anywhere close to the ocean, go to the ocean. The negative ions from the ocean are really, really good for lavender Epsom salts. You're right. So go to the ocean, go for a long walk at the ocean. That's one of my favorite go-tos. And also going out in any kind of nature that you can find. I had another client today that is having some stuff that's going on. And I just I said, go to any park and just sit under a tree and just resonate with earth.
Well, the other part of that, if you work out in nature where there's a lot of trees, remember, we take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, and nature takes in the carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. So we have the perfect balance and exchange with nature. So, going to the gym is one thing, but if you're out running in the park and all that, it's.
And I want to say one more part of all of this. There's a part of it of keeping a balance in your life. Yet another client today, there's so much work. And even though the work is great, the work is exciting and it's fun, there needs to be that element of being with friends and having fun, taking that time to meditate, taking that time to just let yourself be down. Our bodies weren't designed to keep going and going and going. Another one, I'm going to say this probably every single week, turn off the news. For the love of God, turn off the news. Watch it occasionally. If you're watching it, or if you have somebody in your house that's watching it all day, which people are doing, turn it off, get out in nature, start getting a new perception on things. That's not all of it. So if you're continually in that fight, flight, if you're continually being bombarded with things that create this sense of anxiety or doom or whatever those fear feelings are, it's not healthy for you. It's not creative. And we're supposed to be here in these human bodies having a great experience. Right. So the last thing that I'm going to say before you give your prediction, what I told my group on Sunday morning, it's the very first day of the month. Yesterday was, for those of you that have a calendar and for those that don't get a calendar, and start going in your calendar, and each week, what little change can you make? It can be anything. It can be something small, but what change can you make to bring up more love in your life, more success, greater health, just more happiness? Start scheduling in your calendar. I'm going to do this little thing this week. By the time we get to the end of the year, your life is going to be different and it's going to be better. So that's my thing for today, sir.
Well, and the heart, and to add to that, the heart chakra isn't just the love center. It's where we heal from our heart within ourselves and others. And also the heart has to do with generosity and altruism. And altruism is giving without a catch, giving just for the sake of giving. And February, being Valentine's Day, is in 12 days. February is Heart Health Month.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
So take care of your heart and take care of each other's hearts.
So one of the things that you can put on your little calendars, I'm going to go out and I'm going to love somebody today. I'm going to reach out to an old friend that I haven't seen. I'm going to give without any conditions. What are those things for the month of February that equal love? So put them in your book. Now, let's get to
just thinking of that old Jefferson Airplane song, Don't You Want Somebody to Love? I was just thinking that.
Don't you want somebody to love?
Okay.
All right, that's enough.
All right. So back to the Super Bowl. Thank you, Audrey. That's